first look at number one, the London trade that I took yesterday. Then we look at the New York trade opportunity that was presented. And then number three, we look at price and how it's fractal. And then we also look at AMD, accumulation, manipulation, distribution. So basically the same as PO3. And then number four, we look at doubt and how psychology plays a role in our in taking our trades. Let's go all the way to the monthly time frame. I've been talking about this for the past 2-3 videos. I talked about how we are going to reach that monthly fair value gap, and we did. That was my draw on liquidity. And right now I still think that we could go lower to fill it a little bit more because we only barely tapped it and now we're retracing. But going into our weekly, so we could just be creating this fair value gap right here, so just going down. But we could also come and disrupt this fair value gap if we want to. So on the daily, pretty much the same thing. We disrespected this daily fair value gap like a few days ago, and then we swept this low. Now tapping into this daily order block right here is what I would be looking for our next draw probably. But we basically already did tap into it, like just barely, but we could probably see it go down a bit more if we want to. So on the 4 hour from yesterday, we can see right here on the 4 hour, that's my main analysis where I look at for my trade. So we can see we have this 4 hour fair value gap right here. Then going down to the 1 hour, you can see we have this 1 hour order block right here that we also tapped into and respected. I was trying to look and see if we would respect this 1 hour order block. That's why I marked this out over the 4 hour. So the 4 hour was a very obvious gap right there, so I didn't really need to mark it up, but seeing that we rebalanced that 4 hour is a good sign. And then we also have this 1 hour order block right here. I just need to see it respect this one. Going into our 2 a.m. is right here, 2 a.m. London Q zone. We have our Asian session consolidation as well right here. So we took out Asian session highs as well. Let's go down to the 30-minute. On the 30-minute, you can see right here, this high was taken out, and then we respected this, and then tapped into this imbalance right here. Also, this is the 4 hour imbalance. So we swept liquidity, and then I was aiming for this Asian session low right here. So now I just want to look for a 5-minute shift during that London Q zone. Okay, so after 2 a.m. started, I was looking for a shift. Created this fair value gap right here. The most recent low is here. So if I was to wait for price to take out this low, it would be a bit too late because our Asian session lows was here. So if I was to take a short here, okay, so if I was to wait for us to shift after this low, it might be somewhere here or somewhere here, and then I have to protect that high and do this, so that the risk to reward ratio is just not ideal. Had this 5-minute fair value gap created, so we tapped into it, and then going down to the 1 minute, after it tapped into that 5-minute fair value gap, I was looking for it to respect. So with this move, we respected it, and then we have a market structure shift right here. Okay, we have our market structure shift, and then we have our first fair value gap right here. So I actually entered around here, and then stops above that high, and then target that Asian session low. So that was my first trade. It was a 1 to 3.36. I actually had another trade, I think around, I'm not sure where it was, but it was also around here. I'm pretty sure I just entered, I think that's why it was around there. So I pretty much entered like here, and then I exited again, and I was like, because I was looking at the 5-minute. So this is where I'll talk a little bit about doubt, because according to my strategy, I wanted to enter into some sort of higher time frame PDRA. So we have this liquidity sweep, this 1 hour order block, and this 4 hour fair value gap, right? Then I wanted to look for a 5-minute shift. But the thing that got me a bit doubtful yesterday was because we didn't get that 5-minute shift. But if I was to think about it more carefully, it was because the 5-minute was all the way down here. So it would be a bit unreasonable for it to go all the way down here and then come up, you know what I mean? So that was actually enough for me. So that's why I got a bit doubtful at first, but afterwards I zoomed out and I saw, okay, this is our low. So do I want to wait for that low? And I probably wouldn't want to wait for that low because we got that 5-minute tap and we respected that 5-minute fair value gap after this 1 minute market structure shift. So the first trade was like almost break even. What I should have done though, an improvement that I should have done, was just target that and then leave a part of my, like 25% of my position just running, and just run and target these Asian session lows, these monthly fair value gap. this monthly fair value gap, I could have done that as well. Now let's go on to the New York session trade. So as you guys can see, this is the London session kill zone, this is the New York session kill zone. So we just mark it out right here. I'll just move this right here. Okay, so 7, that's when it starts. So if I was to look for New York, I usually wouldn't take too much note of the 4 hour, because this whole like London session was basically a 4 hour candle, so it wouldn't really tell me much, I feel like. I usually look at more at the 1 hour and 30 minutes. So as you guys can see from this London session move right here, we created this 1 hour fair value gap. So we can go down to the 30 minute. Same thing, we have this 30 minute fair value gap right here. So we even respected that 30 minute fair value gap, I think. So we can even refine it to that. We respected that 30 minute fair value gap. And then going into 5 minute, you can see as we tapped into that 30 minute fair value gap after London, before New York, you can see right here, right as New York kill zone was starting, we tapped into this 30 minute fair value gap. We went down, creating this 5 minute fair value gap right here. And then we tapped into the 5 minute right here with that candle. So going down to the 1 minute, after this tap, okay, into the 5 minute, we've got that market structure shift right here. We tapped into it, and this market structure shift just shows that the 5 minute was respected, because after this move comes down, the 5 minute candle would respect, right? So this is market structure shift plus respecting the 5 minute fair value gap. So once we get this market structure shift, we look for our fair value gap, which is right here, this 1 minute fair value gap. We tapped into it, so this could have been another entry. So this is basically the same as the London session trade, right? It's basically the same thing. You just look for higher time frame, you look for a 5 minute, respect it, and then you look for a 1 minute. So if you guys see in that PO3 video that I created a few days ago, I'll link it in the description as well. It's the same thing as this, accumulation, manipulation, distribution. You can see right here, we have this AMD right here. Accumulation of the Asian session. We have manipulation right here during London, going up, sweeping liquidity, and then ultimately coming down, forming some sort of entry model. And then we have distribution right here to our draw. And that usually happens a lot during like London session and Asian session and New York session. Today was just like a very perfect example, and it's pretty much the same as that PO3 video that I showed you guys. You can also see right here, if you guys just want to look at the London session, just purely the London session, you can see we got this accumulation right here. Then we got that manipulation going into that liquidity from here, and that 4 hour fair value gap. This line is basically this liquidity and also the line right under the 4 hour fair value gap. So it doesn't really matter whether you're looking at fair value gaps or liquidity, it's the same line. Accumulation, manipulation, then distribution right here in this trade, going into that London session low. So this is a small thing, and then if you zoom out, you get the same thing. You just get accumulation all the way down here, manipulation is this whole move, and then distribution even further down to this next draw. Okay, because the draw that I had for this trade was this, but the draw that you can take for the whole Asian London New York move is this. So another example is just right here, day before. We got this accumulation, London session manipulation, and then New York session distribution. So this one was another one right here on Friday. The reason why this accumulation, manipulation, distribution, right? But the reason why this didn't really move down, but this was just purely manipulation, was because we had this move, this news move. So before news, there usually isn't really much volume. Here's another one, accumulation, manipulation down, going up. I had a long here, and then distribution, continuation on New York. Here, this accumulation is barely accumulation, which is why some people got tripped up. But yeah, so accumulation, manipulation, distribution. Days like this, it would probably be a bit better to just trade the upwards move, but I'm pretty sure I made a video on this, on how I caught this short trade right here. It was a very short one, but yeah, so it's pretty much the same thing every single time. Accumulation, manipulation, distribution. Don't expect this to work every single session, because it won't. It just does it most sessions. As you can see, accumulation, manipulation, distribution. We see right here, I'm pretty sure I made a video on this as well. We call this move up because I was expecting this. There was probably like a higher time frame fair value gap somewhere around here, so you have to look at bias as well. If you purely only just look at accumulation, manipulation, distribution, you might think this is accumulation extending all the way up here. This is the manipulation move. You might start longing here, but the reason why I shorted here was because I saw there was a higher time frame, like PD array somewhere here, like fair value gap or something. And here as well, accumulation, manipulation, distribution. Same thing for a lot of the session, but this is only like one of the confirmations that I look at. This accumulation thing is not really my entire strategy. I don't look at AMD as my whole strategy, because I need to incorporate like higher time frame bias and what is happening on the higher time frames, what PD arrays are we tapping into, and then I need to look at the lower time frames and seeing if we're actually forming an entry model and if we're actually getting confirmations. Because recently we might be respecting a lot of these AMD moves, but before there might be a lot of messy ones. This thing doesn't happen every single day, so as long as you take profit and take advantage of the times when it does happen and look at it properly with high time frame bias and with entry models incorporated, I think it will be a profitable strategy long term. So what was the last thing that we want to talk about? Oh yeah, doubt. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like before I take trades and after I take trades, I feel like it's a really important thing to just write down the confluences that you have. Yesterday I didn't type it out, like what confluences I saw, so that's why it causes me to kind of like forget a little bit about what I saw if I wasn't paying full attention. So one thing that you want to take note of is just taking full attention when you're trading. You can put some music on, you can do whatever, but try not to be too distracted. Yesterday I was literally like I was just taking the trade, but I was like playing a game, and I was like talking to my brother, and there was all these things going on, and I wasn't really focusing very well. So that's why I like entered and exited. Doing like having more distractions will just cause you to be more doubtful. So I think that one of the things is just get rid of distractions that you can take away from this video that I took away from yesterday's trade. Another thing as well is just marking out your drawings as a beginner, because I know some of you guys like to keep clean charts, but if you guys just mark out some like the more important bits, or just type it out somewhere, like what is happening on all these different time frames, it will help you to just like keep your mind in check so that you know where the price is at and what's happening on each time frame. Don't just be looking at the 1 minute the whole time. I feel like it's never really a good thing to just only be looking at 1 minute time frame, whether you're a scalper or not. Make sure you already have a plan in mind in terms of like take profit, and in terms of whether you want to move your stop loss to break even or whether you want to have a trailing stop loss. Find out what works for you through like testing it out, and then act accordingly. Don't just like have no plan of take profits and moving your stop losses when you're actually in the trade. That will just cause your psychology to work against you. So if you guys want to check out the videos where I mentioned that 5 monthly fair value gap, I'll put the links at the end screen, and you guys can click those videos. That's all.